So for the next 10 to 12 minutes, we'll be talking about the role of echo or the screening echo in pregnant ladies. Today's talk mainly will focus three points mainly. Number one, initially, what are the normal cardiovascular changes that affects normally happens in all pregnant ladies, and number two, how it affects the echo in normal ladies. No, number one, and number two is what are the high risk conditions we need to identify as far as the cardiovascular diseases are concerned. Number two and number three, is there any contraindication of echocardiography in pregnancy? All right, so let's start with our session. Normally, 1 to 4% of the pregnancy involve maternal cardiac diseases. Now, 1 to 4% is a huge number considering Pakistan is a highly populated country. So, if we even take 1%, this is a huge number. These maternal cardiovascular disease may range from very mild mitral valve prolapse with no regurgitation to severe conditions like severe pulmonary hypertension or even Eisenmenger syndrome. So physiological changes in the pregnancy, number one, affects normally the heart, number one, and it can worsen the symptoms of already known cardiac defects, number two, and it can also make the cardiovascular occult diseases even manifest. Maternal mortality and severe morbidity is very high. It's about 50% in certain very high risk condition. And obviously not only it's the mother, but it's the fetus, the growing baby who's also going to affect from this maternal cardiovascular diseases. Okay, now cardiovascular disease does not preclude pregnancy. I mean, the women with severe Eisenmenger syndrome still can get pregnant. So this is not unusual to see any severe maternal cardiovascular disease presenting in your clinic in the second or the third trimester of the pregnancy, and your job becomes really difficult when there are certain high risk condition in there. So pre-pregnancy counseling is important, number one. And why do we need the pre-pregnancy counseling? Pre-pregnancy counseling is important because of these high-risk conditions. Today's talk will more concentrate on these high-risk conditions. Number one, importantly, you have to identify them, and the mortality with these high risk conditions is so high that the pregnancy is contraindicated. And if such women present with already pregnant, you often have to talk about a very difficult task of termination of the pregnancy. I know this is very difficult in our part of the world. So let's just quickly talk about the physiological changes of the cardiovascular disease. We all know that the women with pregnancies, they swell up, they present with the pedal edema, and this is largely due to increase in blood volume. The plasma volume increase, RBCs increase, and the whole idea and basic is to improve the fetal circulation, to accommodate the additional fetal burden in these women. Majority of these changes are due to estrogen, progesterone, and then nitric oxide related system, which altogether retain the fluid, number one. And not only fluid retain, but there are other things. The fluid retention ultimately leads to an increased cardiac output, an increased heart rate, and these changes normally starts with early pregnancy. During the initial, these changes starts to rise up from the first trimester, and they peak up in about early third trimester of the pregnancy. And the heart rate goes up as well. So if it is not unusual to see a ECG of sinus tachycardia for about 110 and 115 beats per minute in a pregnant lady, which is completely normal. Now this is important. Systemic vascular resistance decreases. Systemic vascular resistance decrease is again hormonal mediated. The only beneficial effect of this disease that the regurgitant lesions get improved. severe MR may reduce to moderate to severe MR, or even AR may get slightly better. So generally the pregnancies, they tolerate regurgitant lesions better than stenotic lesions. Yes, inferior vena cava is obstructed by the gravid uterus, but this is usually the problem in third late trimester of the pregnancy, which would reduce the preload. And then the autotransfusion at the time of the delivery. At the time of the delivery, the lot of circulation in the placenta, the blood in the placenta actually is moved from the placenta to the mother's blood. So this can also cause decompensation in an otherwise stable cardiovascular status. Now these are the physiological changes that we talked about. I want you to show small changes in it. See the upper line that shows cardiac output. We know that the cardiac output goes up, progressively goes up. It starts rising up from the first trimester. At the same time, the bottom line is systemic vascularization. It's going down, both working together to improve the cardiac output, again to accommodate the growing fetus. I want you to look at the middle one, the mean arterial pressure, the blood pressure. The blood pressure normally in the first and the second trimester is usually on the lower side. This is pretty normal phenomena. It starts going up just before, weeks before the delivery, and that is also physiological. Now let's relate all these cardiovascular physiological changes to echo. What happens to your heart as a pregnant in pregnant women? There is mild dilatation in all chambers. Now, for example, in a personal long axis view, the normal dimension, our LV and diastolic dimension is 57. I'm not saying that the LV would dilate above the normal. They still remain in the normal range, but pre-pregnancy level, let's say some lady who had LV and diastolic dimension of 40 millimeters before the pregnancy, at max in the third pregnancy it may go up to 50 and 51 millimeters, which is not a worrisome. Number one. Second change, as far as the echo is concerned, LV mass increase, the volume increase, cardiac output increase, and we know how to calculate cardiac output and stroke volumes in it. There are slight changes in the 3 valves, not in all 4 valves. You may get mild or a trace regurgitation in an otherwise completely normal ladies. Mild TR, mild MR, mild PR is completely acceptable. It is not a pathology. However, aortic regurgitation is not a normal finding in pregnant ladies. So if you see a AR in an echo, that prompt you and further investigation to look at the pathological changes in pregnancy. Trace pericardial effusion is also pretty normal. This is because of increased hydrostatic pressure caused by increased blood volume. ये चल नहीं रहा है. All right. So now let's just talk about the diastolic function. No significant effect on diastolic. The E to A ratio, E value, that goes up. Concomitantly, E prime also goes up. So usually the E to A ratio in a normal pregnancy does not change. Mitral annular dilatation, the valves annulus, mitral and the tricuspid, they also slightly dilate, and this is important in patients who have mitral valve prolapse. So people who have otherwise mitral prolapse with trace regurgitation, they may get a slight degree of worsening of MR in a pregnancy, especially in third trimester of pregnancy. Strain, a new modality, not new nowadays, but strain might show a slight reduction in normal pregnancies. However, LV systolic function on 2D images, that remains pretty same. All right, let me present a case scenario very quickly. So a 31-year-old female in her third trimester of pregnancy, she gives a history of congenital birth defects without any further details. She's having shortness of breath on moderate exertion for the past 2 weeks or so. Her echocardiogram showed mildly dilated right-sided cardiac chambers and mild pulmonary hypertension. The sonographer is unable to take adequate images from subcostal window. So what will be the next step? All right, so from this history, this sounds more like ASD in this lady. Now, what would be your next step? IV agitated saline contrast to look for intracardiac.
Time over.
is over. Okay, so yeah, so the point over here is that, to discuss what are the protocols of echocardiography in pregnancy. The protocols are pretty same as in normal pregnancy and in non-pregnant ladies. The only the difference is subcostal. You might not get adequate subcostal images because of the gravid uterus and the distended abdomen. So in that case, you may tilt slightly toward the left lateral position to get adequate images. Agitated saline contrast is not recommended by the European Society of Cardiology because of fetal embolism. So there is only slight risk, but ESC does not recommend it. TE in such cases can be done, but obviously risks and benefits you have to, like in this lady, I would have probably would not go for a TE considering relatively asymptomatic, relatively mild shortness of breath and mild dilatation of the right hearted chamber, and that too in the third trimester of the pregnancy. I would probably keep her on medically managed instead of going for further TE during while pregnancy. Now this is interesting. Normal symptoms during the pregnancy are again dyspnea, palpitation, and pedal edema. And all these symptoms are also the presenting findings of cardiovascular disease. So if you find any disproportionate symptoms in pregnant ladies, please do not hesitate to order an echo. Echo is almost benign. It has no radiation and it can be done even after every 4 to 5 weeks if there is any change in clinical status. So when should echo be performed in pregnant ladies? Number one would be the screening purpose. For example, someone who has already cardiac defects, birth defects, cardiomyopathies, coronary artery disease, ideally echo should be done pre-pregnancy. If not in pre-pregnancy, at the time of the presentation when they come into your clinic. Second indication would be symptomatic. Whenever women comes with out of the proportion dyspnea, chest pain, palpitation, or syncope. And the third and the last one is clinical indication. If you see any abnormal ECG like arrhythmias, AFib, an enlarged cardiac shadow on chest X-ray, there is a family history of sudden cardiac death and some autoimmune conditions. Okay, now there are a lot of maternal cardiovascular disease, I think probably more than 20. So this is the best classification to risk stratify them. Class 1 being the milder cardiovascular diseases, number 1, and class 4 the severer conditions with mortality reaching up to 50%. So I would like to concentrate more on class 4 diseases, because at the end of the topic, if we can remember these 5 or 6 conditions, that would still be good enough for our management. So I know this is a busy talk, let's just skip to the next one. So these are the 5, 6, 7 conditions that we should remember. Eisenmenger syndrome and idiopathic pulmonary hypertension with severe PS systolic pressure of 60 millimeters mercury. This is the worst condition. Pregnancy is absolutely contraindication, and if you see such patients already pregnant, you should be talking about terminating the pregnancy. Severe mitral stenosis, whether symptomatic or not, with valve area less than 1, again very deleterious or worse outcome as far as the pregnancy is concerned in terms of maternal mortality and fetal mortality as well. Symptomatic severe aortic stenosis. This is severe symptomatic aortic stenosis. If someone has severe aortic stenosis but they are not symptomatic, certainly then you can order a stress test before advising them for the pregnancy. Severe left ventricular systolic function, whether it's the peripartum cardiomyopathy or the dilated cardiomyopathies, bicuspid aortic valve. Now last 2-3 things are about the aortopathies. In pregnancy, there is hormonal related changes mainly causing muscle relaxation. The idea is to relax the pelvic muscle to accommodate the baby. However, these same changes would apply to a diseased aorta as well. So someone who has pathological aorta, muscles in the aorta, they may get in trouble due to aortic dissection and even aortic rupture. So 3 important diseases to remember: bicuspid aortic valve with ascending aorta more than 50, pregnancy worse outcome. Marfan syndrome with aortic ascending aorta size more than 45 millimeter of mercury, and native severe coarctation of aorta. Native severe coarctation of aorta is okay. So just last is interesting. 2 more minutes. One last. This is ये last है, ये last है, ये last है. So one last case. One 25-year-old lady in 22nd week of pregnancy presents in cardiac clinic with shortness of breath. She has already. चले सही ठीक. चलिए सही.
Time is over.